Tell me about your origin story. What made you start the business? What was kind of that turning point, and how did you venture out on your own?
It started as a joke. I was working construction with my friend's dad, and we were fixing up houses, and we were fixing this one that was about to hit the market, and the real estate agent asked us if we would just clean the place too. Next thing you know, my buddy and I were scrubbing the floors, cleaning the windows, and I thought to myself, what if we called this Pointe Cleaning? Everyone laughed, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. So
how did you start building the business? How did you recruit other people to kind of join you? How did you find employees? What did that look like?
I started looking where everyone I think looks first is their friends, so I went out to my friends groups and found one guy that was like a part-time welder. And then he ended up coming on board, and it worked out perfect because he didn't need like full-time work.
Are these people that you train from scratch? What does that profile look like typically?
We want to hire people based on their character, and we'll train them on how to do the work.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast. I'm Roland Ligtenberg. I'm your host, and I'm also the co-founder of Housecall Pro. Since 2013, we've been on a mission to champion the trades and championing our pros, because the work you do keeps our homes safe, comfortable, and communities running. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of thousands of pros just like you, empowering you all to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. I'm super excited because today we got a special guest, Andrew Philbrick, here with Pointe Cleaning Company. He specializes in window and exterior cleaning. He's from Grosse Pointe, Michigan. He's on track for $500,000 in revenue this year with 6 employees and 4 trucks, service vehicles on the road. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Man, thanks. I appreciate you having me. That intro got me fired up already.
But there we go.
I'm excited to be here.
Cool. Well, tell me a little bit about, you've been in the business now about a decade. Tell me about your origin story. What made you start the business? What was kind of that turning point, and how did you venture out on your own?
Well, honestly, it started as a joke. I was working construction with my friend's dad, and we were fixing up houses, and we were fixing this one that was about to hit the market, and the real estate agent asked us if we would just clean the place too. Next thing you know, my buddy and I were scrubbing the floors, cleaning the windows, and I thought to myself, what if we called this Pointe Cleaning? Everyone laughed, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. So over the next few weeks, I started talking to some friends and launching it for real. Everyone thought it was a great idea, but no one really wanted to take the leap with me. So I just went all in and started it by myself back in 2014.
So 2014 is when you started it. You got into it for real after it was a little bit of a joke, but now it's you. And how did you start building the business? How did you recruit other people to kind of join you? How did you find employees? What did that look like?
Well, it's I started looking where everyone I think looks first is their friends. So I went out to my friends groups and found one guy that was like a part-time welder. And then he ended up coming on board, and it worked out perfect because he didn't need like full-time work. So I scheduled him in advance, and, just build through friends and people first. And then, after that, we look out for more great people.
Yeah, I think that's a good just advice for those people just getting started out is leverage your own network, leverage your own friends, let them know what you're up to, tell everyone what you're doing, and maybe somebody even knows somebody, but start with your own network. You don't have to start out with ZipRecruiter or Indeed or like posting jobs and doing all that right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And when you are looking for people, are these people that have experience in exterior cleaning, power washing, self-washing? Are these people that you train from scratch? What does that profile look like typically?
We want to hire people based on their character, and we'll train them on how to do the work, but it's very hard to find people who are committed to their craft and have pride in their work. That's the toughest part. So we hire based on character.
Yeah. And where are you finding these outside of your initial friend group? Now that you've matured the business, you're in it to about a decade. Is it just the brand and people know your business now and this kind of organically attracting, or how does that kind of come together?
So over the years, we figured out that we always should be hiring, right? So we have an ad out on Indeed all year long, and we built systems and and things in place to automatically get them to apply, sort them out, and give them an assessment, and then we can bring them in for a phone interview, and then hopefully they come pass and for an in-person interview.
Yeah, and that's another great tip just right there is just always be hiring. I think a lot of people get stuck in the trap of like, oh my gosh, it's spring, I gotta hire, I can't find anybody good. Oh my God, all these jobs are passing me up. And then at the end of the season, they're like, oh no, I gotta let them go.
You have to, yeah, and even if you're full, you might find someone who's better than what you currently have. And that you never know. People might just quit tomorrow. And you got to be able to fill that space so you can still take care of all your customers.
I think that's a really good perspective too. I think not enough people maybe think about that, which is, you never know who's out there that's looking. And if you can have a good bench, you can replace real quick, especially if people no show or they're constantly tardy. I know there's a lot of pros I talk to that feel a little beholden to their employees, and they're like, whatever, the guy's always late, but I can't find anybody else. Well, what if you had somebody else? Then all of a sudden you can get much better performance out of your existing employees as well.
Exactly. Yep.
How are people hearing about your business? How do they know, like, okay, I want to hire a Pointe Cleaning Company? Well, like, what does your marketing stack look like? How are people hearing about your business? What are you doing to get the word out?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because I have a business coach, and we were going through my numbers, and he's like, you spent $5,000 all of last year on marketing? I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's literally just shirts and maybe some yard signs. But one of the biggest things is just do your best all of the time, and enough people will talk about you, So we really don't advertise. We don't advertise much at all. We give back to the community and sponsor a lot of organizations. And I think people just see us around, and they decide to call because they look at, and we have a lot of good Google reviews too. So it helps.
Yeah, I think, once you're out there and just doing good work, like you said, word of mouth can just power so much. And I think depending on your growth goals too, how much you spend, you can kind of taper that on or off. But it's possible to grow a $500,000 a year business with only 1% marketing spend, which is wild. I wouldn't even recommend that out of the gate, but because you've been around for so long, you can get away with it. Because you have that kind of reputation, you can lean on a little bit, and that helps drive your net profit for sure at the end of the year. What's something you would what's something you would share with maybe your younger self looking back? What's maybe a business piece of advice that you're like now, but you're like, man, I'd tell baby Andrew this.
I would have found a mentor or a business coach way sooner. Someone who has already done what I wanted to do. And one of the things that my mentor told me is like the hustler in you needs to die before the CEO can be born, and that really spoke to me because I used to do everything myself, thinking that the only way to get it done, right was for me to do it, but leadership is about making other people grow. And that's how it happens.
Yeah, I love that quote. I forget where I've heard that from too, but I've definitely heard that one before. And it's very true, because if you take it on yourself to do every single little thing, you're never going to have the time to do the things that create the most leverage for your business. And so it's hard to do, because as an owner, you're going to want to do those things, even if you're not the best at it, or even if you are the best at it, you should realize there's someone that could do probably 80% of your job for, a tenth of the cost. You're probably like, well, I don't pay people 10 times less than me. But it's like, what's $1,000 an hour task versus, $100 an hour task? Even that at 80%, you should be focused on those really big things. Tell me a little bit, you're an OG Housecall Pro user. You've been around for a long time. So you've seen Housecall Pro evolve over 8 years since you've been a user. What's something that we have now that you didn't have back when you started with Housecall Pro that you're like, man, if they had that feature earlier on, I would have been using that thing since day one, and my business would have been like huge.
Yeah, I don't know really, because a lot of things, Housecall Pro just keeps adding and adding and adding. And I honestly am so focused like in the business that it's hard sometimes to look and implement new things into the business. So I usually wait till the off season to kind of figure that stuff out. But man, Housecall Pro just keeps adding value to the pros.
And what, like, from all the different features you use, because you use Marketing Center, you're using the new HCP Cam, you're using the coaching side of things. Like, what's something that if we took it away, you'd be super bummed? Like, what feature do we not take
Uh,
away?
I mean, I think my favorite feature is on my way text and the finish button. It
Hmm.
sounds really, really simple, but it's a game changer. That
Hmm.
on my way text, when you hit that button, it sends it to the customer and that builds confidence. Knowing the customers know when you're coming. And then when you hit the finish button, the customer knows when you're done. It closes the loop. It's really clean, professional, and appreciated by the pros and the customers.
Yeah, and I hear it too. Is like a lot of people maybe um, underestimate the value of those things. But what happens is when the customer gets those, they're expecting a high level of service and they're willing to pay for a high level of service. And so it helps you close bigger ticket jobs. It helps increase your estimate close rates. It helps you do upsells when you get to the job, all those things, because they know that they're dealing with a professional company and not just kind of a fly by night style kind of company too.
Yeah, I mean, you can edit it so where the customer actually gets a picture of the technician and a little bio if you choose, and it's
Hmm.
just like a personal touch that you can spin, put a spin on it, and your customers know who's shown up. They almost know the person before they ever met them.
Yeah. And the funny thing too is like it's still a novel thing, even in today's day and age. When people are like, wow, I've never gotten that from a service person. Even though I'm like, man, like every home service company should be doing this out of the box. But it still is such a competitive advantage. It's like a sneaky one, that like, you've
Yeah,
got that probably not a lot of other exterior cleaning kind of companies do have, in your area.
for sure.
Um, what's
Yep.
the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on a job that Housecall Pro helped you with?
Really, I mean, the communication end of it too, because a lot of technicians, if something happens, so, God forbid something crazy happens and we need to contact the homeowner or things like, or just an update the homeowner, you can't all like the tech doesn't want to just call them and give the homeowner their number, so House Call Pro has a feature where you can get a number and your technicians can actually text inside of the app and communicate with the homeowner without ever sending them their personal number. And the whole team
Mm.
can see it. Everyone who's on that job can see the whole text message thread.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's a really good feature.
Yeah, and it's kind of like if I hear a lot of businesses will use things like WhatsApp or they'll do like, a group iMessage kind of a thing. But those things with
Yeah.
customers, that's going to be a disaster and so hard to track. And the reality is, you may have technicians that leave you. And so if that's the case, or you have seasons and those kind of things, you want the homeowner to have your company's phone number saved in their phone irrespective of who's actually doing the job, so that when it comes the next time to book, I do this all the time. I always look and search through my text message, be like, oh, who's that guy or what's that thing? And I'll like search for the thing, and boop, there's a number, and I can and that's the number they save, and that's what you want to save. And it's such like it's an overlooked, not underused because it comes default, but it's like you don't realize that's happening, but that's what makes it super sticky for your business.
Yes. Yep.
So one of the things you mentioned, the mentor, the coaching side of things. What are some other things you've learned from that's really kind of given you that light bulb moment that, is giving you like either a reflection or something that really kind of just like changed a paradigm for you?
Um, I mean, every aspect of it, because I don't know how to run a business, so the coaching and all that stuff helps out so much because someone has been doing what you're trying to do. So they can literally guide you every step of the way. They know the numbers that you're supposed to be hitting. Even if you don't know the numbers, they'll help you figure out the numbers and go out and fill out a spreadsheet. All that stuff is super, super important when it comes to running a business. You have to know your numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, it's sometimes nice to have someone else to force you to go do those things, because you may be so heads
Yeah.
down in the business. It like forces you to like pull up, zoom out a little bit, and then take kind of a critical look at everything and have a second set of eyes where it's like, oh, that looks a little off, or have you considered this? But everyone kind of needs that coach, and that's definitely something that we believe at Housecall Pro to help champion our pros to success. What would you say? You mentioned something about when you were talking with Shayna about just like ability to have like open API. What does that mean? How do you explain that to someone that's like, but I'm not a developer? What's important about an open API?
Right. So that's what's the coolest part. We use this platform called High Level, and it's amazing, and it lets you automate just about anything that you can think of, between follow-ups, lead nurturing, you name it. And the fact that Housecall Pro has an open API, that shows that they're here to help pros like us win. So basically, it's two softwares talking to each other, transferring data back and forth. So they almost become one software. And these tools just let us deliver a premium experience without needing a couple more employees to just be transferring data back and forth.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than like copying and pasting and copying and pasting. So we were talking about high level, being able to connect to all the things, being able to offer like all of that. Okay, tell me, is there anything else that you think Housecall Pro offers that might not be completely obvious to someone that's looking at getting an FSM? You've been using it for so long that it probably feels like second nature, but what's something that people might not recognize about why they should use it versus like a free Google Calendar with, Square, with, QuickBooks or something?
Yeah, so that's how we started. We started out using two different softwares, and we just realized that we needed to have better systems in place. So we searched for Housecall Pro, and really it was able to merge both of those things into one. And when you start handling customers, in their system, you could have a whole spreadsheet, but if you have a CRM like this, like Housecall Pro, and you'll be able to keep all that stuff in one spot, customers, scheduling, payments, and there's so much more features with Housecall Pro. Your employees can clock into there. And that's one other thing that I didn't even mention. In between the on my way and finish, there's actually a start button, and that starts when the tech gets to that job, it starts. And so you can see how much time a technician is actually spending on the job. And that helps with job costing, so then Housecall Pro does that too. So there's so many things that Housecall Pro does that just keeps it just adds so much value to a business. It's quite remarkable. And more features keep getting added. It's great.
We keep building. That's why we're a subscription business. It keeps the engineers and product people building. Ed, this has been really great. You've dropped a lot of really cool golden nuggets. What would you say is kind of your last piece of advice for any business owner that's either looking to get into business or earlier on in kind of their business career and maybe doesn't have that $500,000 a year business quite yet? What kind of a piece of advice would you give them?
A couple of things, right? So commit first and you'll figure out the rest later. That's one of the biggest things. Like, just take action. It's not always going to be right. It's not going to be pretty, but it's better than just sitting there wondering if you were to do it. So commit first, figure out the rest later, and then another thing I'll leave you with is, systems run businesses and people run systems. So it's really, really important to create systems within your business so that people can run those systems.
I love it. Those are really good. Thank you so much for all those little nuggets of wisdom, Andrew. It's been really cool talking to you. You've been using Housecall Pro for so long. I'm glad we were able to get you on the show. For everyone else that's listening, we do this on a weekly basis. We've got another great Superpro podcast interview coming up next week. If you're not using Housecall Pro and you're like, maybe I want to go check it out, you can always go to housecallpro.com/podcast deal. Or shoot me a text at 858-215-1502, and I'll connect you to somebody. Or you can just chat with me if you have any questions. Thanks again, Andrew, for coming on the show, and we'll see all of you guys next week.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.